I am back. This is video 2 of 3. If you didn't catch the first one, my first video I just did was a long one. It was longer than I thought it was going to be. It was 47 minutes, but it was about the first stage of this. It was called Suicidal. And please take the time to watch it whenever you can. I would really appreciate it because this is so important. We have to talk about this. Have to talk about this. So the first part was leading up to this video here now. So I'm not going to rehash the first video, just go and watch it. Okay, so this is part 2. This is hospital stay. So I left my doctor's office against my will, but with Henry. And my counselor said, as we were walking out, he said, "Henry, here's my cell number. Could you please call me when you get to the hospital? I want to make sure that you guys made it there." And believe me, I tried everything in my power to convince Henry to run. I'm like, come on. I said, and... I was totally joking because he had his landlord's car, but I'm like, look, we got a vehicle, full tank of gas. You even have the dog in the car. I'm like, let's just go. No, he didn't have Odie. Oh yeah, he did. He had Odie in the car, and I said, let's go. I said, let's just take off. And I was half kidding and half not. The half kidding because I knew he would never do it, and the half not kidding because if he had said okay, then we would have taken off. But I knew he'd never do it. So he brought me home to grab a couple things. I was starving, I hadn't eaten yet, so we just made some pizza pops or something really quickly. By the time we were ready to head out the door, my counselor had called again because he hadn't heard yet about us getting to the hospital. Like, this is how persistent and amazing this guy is. So Henry talked to him and said, we just stopped by to get something to eat quickly at home and grab our stuff, and then we're heading there. So I ended up at the Victoria Hospital. Pretty far away from where I live. I live downtown, and from wherever, Henry lives the other side of town too, and from all my friends and from everybody. But it was the bed that was available. So I ended up at the Victoria Hospital on November 29th, Thursday evening. Supremely pissed. I was so angry that I was being brought there. Whoa, one thing I forgot to mention in my last video, when I said to my counselor, I said to the doctor, I said, "You don't know me at all." I said, but I looked at Chris and I said, "Do you not believe that I will not harm myself until after the 11th? That I said, nothing is happening before the 11th. Like, I don't need to be admitted before the 11th because nothing is happening." I was so set and determined to make it to this date because of how important it was to me, finishing my business for Christmas and for my anniversary with Henry of the day we met, December 11th. That was very important to me, spending that evening with him. And so Chris looked at me and he said, "Stacy," he said, "I believe with all my heart," he said, "the way I know you," he said, "that you will do everything in your power," he said, "to make it through to December 11th. He said, you will fight, you'll do everything because this is important to you." He said, "My concern is that if you have one more stressor pop up, if you have one more thing happen, that it might derail your timeline and push you up sooner." He said, "That's why you have to go now." Now I see that and I agree with that. At the time I was still like, whatever, fine, I don't have a choice. So Henry got me to the hospital. The hospital experience, that was an experience, I'll tell you. I got there. Something you should know, if ever you're admitted there and stuff, is, like, I wasn't told to bring anything. So, I mean, I came home, I grabbed a couple things I thought, but Henry said, like, "Do you want your pajamas? Do you want other stuff?" And I'm like, well, no, it's a hospital, they'll have pajamas. No, this unit didn't really have pajamas. So I slept the first night in my clothes until he came to visit the next day and brought me pajamas and brought me some other stuff. The evening I was there, I was admitted, the nurse who checked me in and stuff, first thing she says is, "We're really glad you're here." She said, we're really glad you're here and that you're safe." And I said, well, I'm glad someone is. Like, I was not a happy camper. I apologized afterwards to all these nurses for the way I acted and stuff, but I was not nice these first few days. And she said, well, we're glad that you're safe and we're glad that you're here. And I said, yes, once again, here I am doing something for others, something I don't want to do, but I'm doing it because it's what everybody else wants. Like, I was not pleasant. But one thing I had promised Chris and I had promised Henry is that I would not be an uncooperative patient, that I would do whatever they ask. I said, I don't believe any of it's going to work anyways. I said, but you know what? Fine. If they want to switch meds, if they want to do whatever, I'll do it. It also didn't help that a couple days before all of this happened, I watched the movie Girl Interrupted. So that was all that was going through my head too, is I thought, I'm never getting out of here. Because I was told I'm not allowed to be discharged until I'm no longer a danger to myself. And I thought, since nothing's going to fix this, nothing's going to work, I'm never leaving, never getting out of the hospital. That was my mindset at the time. So I thought, okay, you know what? Do what they ask, do what they say, because maybe you can, work your way into getting out. And then if you still feel the same way you do, well, then you can carry on with your plan as planned. So my thought was, okay, just do what they ask. So I did. The next day was Friday. The doctor came and talked to me, the resident and the attending. The resident, she was a really nice doctor. So was the attending. They asked a million questions. That was the thing too. I was so tired and so exhausted and so tired of explaining all of this that was another frustrating thing, is that I was being asked the same things over again by people who don't know me at all. And I had to go through this all over again and again and again and again and again, because every single nurse on every single shift asks you stuff. How you're doing, how you're feeling, what's going on, why are you feeling this way? And the very first day I got there, I had one nurse. Like, this is when I'm still very much in the mind frame of, I don't want to be here, and I just don't want to be here in general. I want to go through with my plan. And the one nurse said, well, what about the people in your life? There's people that love you. Aren't you thinking about them? And I said, of course I'm thinking of them. I said, but I can't live the rest of my life in extreme pain, mental pain, for everybody else. And that may sound selfish, but it's not. When you're suffering that badly, when your mind is that black, that dark and hopeless, when you really feel like there is literally no hope for fixing anything, and you're going to live like this for the rest of your life, it's your friends and family are going to have to deal with it. That's the way you're thinking, and it sounds harsh and it sounds mean, but it's like you just can't keep going for other people when it's this bad. And I told her all of that, and then she said, okay, and I don't want to offend anybody by anything that I'm going to say here. This is all, again, my feelings, my opinions, my thoughts, my beliefs, and everything. She said, have you thought about what happens afterwards? And I said, nothing. I said, that's what I believe. I said, nothing. I said, I'm an atheist. I said, I believe nothing happens. It's just blackness. It's dark. And she said, well, what if you're wrong? I said, well, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I said, well, then I end up in hell and I'll be like down there saying, damn, I was wrong, and they were right. And again, this is not against anybody's beliefs. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe, truly. But what I believe is that when you die, nothing happens. That's just it. It's just blackness. So I told her that. And she, I did not care for this nurse at all. There's other instances with her, but she started saying, well, many people attempt this and it doesn't work out, and then they're even more sorry afterwards. And I said, you know what? I said, my plan I have is detailed as I can think of it. It's very scary, actually, how much thought I put into it and planning and what I was going to do. And in my opinion, in my mind, I was going to make sure that it worked. I mean, this was not just a cry for help here. This, I had planned to do it at a certain time of day when nobody would be contacting me, and nobody would be contacting me for hours. Because I didn't want anybody finding me in time and stopping it. That's how detailed I had planned this. I wanted this to happen. And she starts arguing with me again. She said, well, all the smartest people in the world can think they have it planned. And I just said, you know what, stop. I said, we're not talking about this. I said, it is what it is. So then the doctors came to talk to me, and they went over the same things. And one doctor said, are you scared? And I said, no, not at all. I said, I'm actually most at peace and most calm when I think about going through with it. because I know the pain will be over soon. And she said, okay. And she said, do you think about what happens after? And again, I told her the same thing, that I'm an atheist. I don't believe anything happens after. And she didn't say anything. She didn't argue with me. She didn't voice her opinion. She just said, okay. They just wanted to know where my head was at and everything. And they talked about the medication and stuff, how I would probably be switching it. And I said, okay, whatever you think. So that was November 30th. Yeah, they said we'll start tomorrow, just December 1st. So that Friday, the one nurse, every single shift they come in, and they have it's called Q15. That means every 15 minutes, or Q30, Q60. The Q means every in medical terms. I was a Q15 checks, meaning every 15 minutes somebody had to make sure that I was still around. If I wasn't in my room, they had to knock on the bathroom door, which there were no locks on it, of course. They would have to go find you on the unit. Like, this was one nurse's job constantly for the 8 hours. They would switch jobs doing it, but somebody had to be walking around, and every 15 minutes had to check my name off a list that they had seen me, still alive. And it was like this for almost 3 weeks. Every 15 minutes, somebody had to come in, like 24 hours a day. Every 15 minutes, somebody was coming in to check on you. So the one nurse on the first day, was there on the Friday, she said, do you have any thoughts of harming yourself while you're in the hospital? And I said, I looked around, I'm like, I don't even know how you could. Like that unit had thought of everything. Like, even in the bathroom, the shower curtain, there was no rod. The shower head that comes off, there was no shower head. It was like kind of, the water just kind of came out of the wall so that you couldn't tie something onto it. Like the doorknobs, everything. It would have made it pretty difficult. And I said to her, I don't know how you could hurt yourself here. She said, well, if you really thought about it, I'm sure there's ways. And, that's why we're just kind of checking your mindset. And I said, well, let me put it this way. I said, I'm not actively seeking a way to kill myself while I'm in the hospital. I said, but if one comes upon me, I can't make any promises. And she said, okay, well, would you come and tell one of us if that happens? If you find a way you think that you could go through with it, would you come and tell one of us? And I said, no. I said, honestly, I said, no. I said, because that's what I'm in here for, is because I don't want to go on anymore. And I said, if I can find a way, I said, then I will do that. I said, I'm not actively looking for a way. I said, but if one comes up, then no, I'm not going to come and tell you. And she said, okay. And I said, sorry, I'm just being honest. And she said, no, that's what we want. We want you to be honest. So that's what kept me on the Q15, the 15-minute checks. So then the next day was December 1st, and they started me on a new medication. And it was a stronger dose than say my doctor would have put me on then. And this is what was meant by when my counselor Chris said that they can be more aggressive in the hospital. They can, because if there's any side effects, they can deal with it while you're there. So they kept me on my original, and they gave me this new one, a higher dose. And so that was December 1st. I was on it. That was Friday. And I talked to the doctors on Friday again about it, and they said if things go well over the next couple of days, then we're going to increase it on Monday. They said as long as there are no real side effects. And I had no side effects on the Saturday or the Sunday, 2nd and 3rd. So the plan was to start the increase on Monday the 4th. I guess it was the 4th. Whatever, Monday or December 4th, whatever day that fell on. Well, December 4th was the accidental overdose day. The nurse came in, and she said, oh, okay, lots of pills for you today. And I said, lots of pills? And she said, yeah, well, we're increasing your one med. And I said, yeah, okay, I knew that. And so she gave me that and put it in my hand. And then she said, your other one, the one we were supposed to be decreasing, she said it comes in 10 milligram tablets, and you're supposed to get 100 milligrams, so got to give you 10 pills. And I looked, and I said, that doesn't sound right. I said, that's not what we talked about yesterday, the doctor and I, because, again, if you know me, I'm a planner, organizer, and stuff. Like I said to the doctor, I need to know what the plan is every single day, what you're planning on doing, so I can keep, follow along and whatnot. And so she had the chart right there on my bed, and she looked at it, and she said, nope, it says right here, 100 milligrams. I said, okay, I guess he must have changed his mind. So I took all the pills, popped all the pills. She left. She came back 2 minutes later. She said, yep, Stacey, I'm going to need you to throw up now. She said, you weren't supposed to take all of that. I said, what? She said, yeah, I'm going to need you to throw up, like right now. I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And I said, I can't make myself throw up. She said, put your hand down your throat. I said, I've never done that. And she said, well, you're going to have to throw up. She said, you were not supposed to get that high of a dose. So she said, do you want me to help you? And I said, no, like this is the same nurse that I had the problem with when I first got there. And I said, no, I'll try. So I tried. No, I can't make myself throw up. I said, don't you have some sort of medicine that can help with this, like Epicac or something? She said, no, we don't have anything here like that. She's like, I'm going to get you fluids. You have to start drinking a lot of fluids. You got to start flushing this out of your system. She said, I'll get you some juice. So she brought me a 1 liter of juice. And then I heard her go out to the hallway and the doctor was there. So I followed her out and I said, okay, what's going to happen to me here? And he said, well, it's not ideal. He said, but it's not a lethal dose. He said, I'm going to look into this a little bit and I'll get back to you in a bit. So I kept drinking the water and the juice like crazy. And then the nurse came right back in and she had a big bottle of charcoal that I had to drink. As I found out, charcoal tastes like nothing. I was quite worried because, I don't even like cough medicine or anything. So, and she stood there watching me and she's like, okay, you got to try to drink this as fast as you can. So she said, I've never had it before, so I don't know what it tastes like. So I kind of held my breath and I took a big glug of it. And I was pleasantly surprised that it literally tasted like nothing. But the problem is, it's like trying to swallow peanut butter. And she said, Stacey, don't hold it in your mouth long. She said, that makes it taste worse. I said, it doesn't taste like anything. I said, it's like trying to swallow peanut butter. She said, oh, well, then maybe we could mix some juice in with it. I said, do that, please. Because I said, I'm never getting through this whole bottle otherwise. So we did that. We mixed it with a bunch of juice. I drank the whole bottle. She said, it might not make you throw up. She said, it might just help absorb the drugs. So right after that, I got incredibly nauseous. The doctor came in and talked to me, apologized profusely for it. Apparently it was the pharmacist's error. They wrote down the wrong number, an extra 0. Because I was supposed to go down to 10 milligrams and they gave me 100. So 10 times the amount. He said he spoke to the urgent care, the emergency room downstairs. They said they didn't need to monitor me down there, but I needed to be monitored closely for 24 hours up here. And right before my pills that morning, I had actually asked if I could leave the unit for a few minutes, like go outside. I wanted some fresh air because I'd been in there for 4 days with no fresh air. And that was one of the hardest things I found is being admitted involuntarily. I've never ever been somewhere where I was not allowed to leave, right? I mean, literally not allowed to leave. I couldn't go anywhere. So before I took the pills, I asked if it would be possible to leave. And she said, well, I'll check with the doctor. So when he came to talk to me about this overdose and stuff, he said, we've decided, you can have 30 minutes off the unit by yourself. He said, if you want to go downstairs, because I said, I'd like to go outside, get fresh air for a couple minutes, like 30 seconds because it was cold. I said, and maybe just grab a hot chocolate, at Tim Hortons there in the lobby. I said, and then come back up. I don't even need 30 minutes, just 10. He said, well, we'll give you the 30 minutes. He said, but could we ask that you not leave until later tonight? He said, because we have to monitor you, EKG. A whole bunch of things. It was not a pleasant 24 hours. I didn't even feel like leaving the unit that night because I was so sick. I was not feeling good. They couldn't give me my sleeping pills that night because that would interact with what they had given me. So that set me back a few days being in the hospital because they couldn't give me my antidepressants and stuff the next day. And the nurse kept saying to me, she kept apologizing, and the only reason it was caught was because of me, because I said I didn't sound right. And she went back to the desk and looked at the chart and stuff and saw that where the error was. And she kept apologizing to me, and I just said, you know what, it's done. It is what it is and stuff. And later she said, thank you for being so good about this. And I started to think and I laughed. I'm like, well, maybe it's because you gave me 10 times the amount of antidepressants. So, I'm incapable of being upset right now. Anyways. We dealt with that, but I couldn't have my regular meds for the next couple days. And I had to be monitored, vitals and everything more closely. So that really set me back some more. But while I was there, there was group sessions each day. There was, usually 2, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And I have to say, the only good thing, one of the best things I found about the hospital was that somebody cooked for me 3 times a day. I didn't have to cook. And to me, it was good food. I mean, breakfast was my favorite meal of the day. I made sure I was awake for 8 o'clock no matter what, even though I didn't really sleep much anyways. But I loved the breakfasts. So there was group sessions, and it was everything from yoga. There was Tai Chi one day. There was a pet visit day. where they brought in a dog, which I was super excited to pet this dog and play with this dog and stuff. And that actually it turned out to be more sad for me because I was missing Odie out there and stuff, and it didn't work the way I had hoped it would. But it was still a nice concept of them bringing the dog in because it cheered up everybody else. There was, what did they do? We did arts and crafts, a whole bunch of different things. Some of they weren't mandatory, but they were highly recommended. And some of them were just not my cup of tea. There was bingo one night and I was not in the mood. Oh, that was the overdose night. I was not in the mood to leave my bed. But they did have some other things that were very helpful. They brought somebody in from the YWCA, and they told us all about their mental health program. Now, did you guys know that the Y has a mental health program? Because I sure didn't. Apparently, it's been around for 35 years. And what it is they have... Hang on, I got the brochure here. So they gave me this brochure, and it says skill enhancement courses and workshops for adults recovering from mental illness. This is at the Y Learning and Leisure Center. And in Winnipeg here, it's on Vaughan Street. It's right downtown across the street from the downtown Y. And we were told at this time, if we attend any of these classes, if we complete them, that we get a 6-month free membership to the Y. That right there was the first the first hopeful thing that came into mind when I heard this, because I've wanted gym membership for a while, but a lot of these gyms are so expensive. And I knew with the way I was feeling that I probably wouldn't even be able to get out to the gym, and then I would be wasting money, and then I'd feel guilty. And so I never got a membership. But this was going to be a free membership to the Y and to any of the 4 locations in the city. And I live very close to the one downtown. So I asked the person, I said, what sort of facility, like amenities and stuff, do they have at this Y downtown? She said, they have everything, pool, track, everything. The pool was the key word for me, because I've been wanting to get out and do more exercise and stuff. But with the spinal stenosis I have in my lower back, it's a problem to exercise. But the pool is fantastic. So I heard that and I'm like, okay, so what are these classes about? And it still didn't really sink in because I was still kind of in a fog at this point. I don't know what day it was that she came in to talk, but I'd probably been there about a week, and still not feeling so great and everything, not feeling change from medication and whatnot yet, but still participating in the groups and doing what I was supposed to, or what I said I would. So then it was one morning when I looked at this actual brochure. I opened it up, and the first one, the class, it's Coping Skills for Depression. It says, this course will enhance participants' awareness of their current coping skills and help to develop new skills to manage depression. Topics covered include the impact of thoughts on feelings, developing assertiveness, building self-esteem, self-nurturing behaviors, raising energy levels, and the importance of social support. They're Monday and Wednesdays. They're from 1 till 3:15 p.m. for 10 sessions. So I read that one and I'm like, well, okay, I totally need something like that. And then the next one that is offered is called Understanding and Managing Anxiety. This course will help participants understand anxiety, including why one feels anxious, physical, emotional, and behavioral symptoms of anxiety, thinking patterns that increase anxiety, and the characteristics of various anxiety disorders. The course will also help participants develop positive coping tools to manage their anxiety. These strategies include focused breathing and deep relaxation, mindfulness and meditation, cognitive restructuring, gradual exposure, and breaking reactive patterns. Again, Mondays and Wednesdays. And that starts next month. So I saw these two, and I mean, these are my 2 main diagnoses, major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. So I thought, okay, well, how perfect. 2 classes that might actually work out for me, that I would be helpful. Plus, I get a free gym membership for it. So that was the first thing that I actually felt a little bit of spark, a little bit of excitement, and a little bit of hope with that. So I was sort of excited about that. But then I tucked the brochure away, because I still wasn't going anywhere. I was not being discharged yet. And then, like I said, this doctor was really great, Dr. Cook. And we talked every day, Monday through Friday. They weren't in on the weekends. And she started talking to me about CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And she gave me a pamphlet or a workbook. And she said, when you have a chance, if you want to read over this. Now, this was all before December 10th. So while I was there up until December 10th, there was nothing on my mind except Sensi, trying to get my Christmas business done and everything. And I had some amazing help on the outside. Henry, my friend Krista, Jessica, Keisha, Danielle. a whole bunch of people that, and others too, I know I'm forgetting other people, but they all offered to help me, put orders together, get things done, help me fix mistakes that I had made. So it was very difficult for me because I'm the only one that runs my business, right? I do everything. So to be in the hospital and have somebody else do it, and I had this one nurse, the same nurse, lecture me saying, well, you really need to have faith in them. You need to trust them that they're going to do what they say they do. And I kind of lost it on her. And I said, I have absolute faith in these people, 100%. I said, that's not the issue. The issue is I'm stuck here in a bed, not doing the work myself. And something that would take me 10 minutes to do is going to take these people like an hour to figure out. Like, Henry was so amazing. Any of you Scentsy people watching? He was putting my orders together and he was trying to find in the box, he was looking for something called Perfect Scentsy. Because, of course, I'm not there to tell him that is just one of the combine and saves, the bundle and saves. He had no idea. So he said he spent forever looking through all of the boxes looking for something called Perfect Scentsy until he finally went online and Googled it and realized, oh, it's the warmers underneath that she's written down. He was so amazing that he took the time to do all of that for me. But that's where I was struggling with, being in the hospital and not doing it myself, not just getting it done. But of course it did get done. And like my friend Krista, she's done direct sales too. And she said, Stacey, tell Henry if he's struggling putting the orders together at all, I'll come and help him if he needs help and stuff. And he didn't. He was great. But it got done. That was the main thing. But up until the 10th, I told the doctor, I can't focus on anything until after this Christmas rush is done, after the orders are done, and after my mistakes are fixed, and I take care of everything. I said, I can't focus on any extra work and stuff. And she understood. She was really great. She said, no problem. I don't want to overload you. So the 10th came and went, got done what I could get done, and still was able to do. The good thing is I was able to have my phone. They let me keep my phone the whole time. I mean, we're allowed to have our phones on this unit, and there was Wi-Fi there. So at least I could do what I could do and keep in touch with people the best I could when I could. So I was able to do it that way. They even said, the doctor said, well, what if we were to let you out of the hospital for a bit to go and help Henry do this stuff? I said, if you let me out of the hospital, I'm not coming back. I said, you want perfect honesty? I said, I'm not going to come back. And she said, okay. She said, what if Henry brought everything to you and you could work on it here? I said, you have no idea the extent of that he is putting together. I said, in the amount of space and it's going to take and everything. I'm like, this is not the right location to do this. I said, I appreciate these thoughts and these efforts to try to help me. I said, but no, this stuff won't work. So we got through the 10th, got that finished. The doctors came and talked to me on the 10th and they said, okay, we know how important tomorrow, the 11th, is for you. What did you have planned? I said, well, Henry's going to come and visit me. I said, we're going to spend the evening together here. He's going to come and visit for a few hours. And the doctor said, what if we were to let you out on a 4-hour pass? And I said, yes, absolutely. I said, I definitely want that. I should mention, when the overdose day happened and they were going to give me the 30 minutes, the pass, the next morning I woke up and I was feeling so lousy, physically, but mostly mentally because of everything I'd been through. The doctor came and talked to me every day like they normally do. And I said, that 30-minute pass you gave me? I said, you better revoke it. I said, because if I get anywhere near that door today, I'm not coming back. I said, I'm being perfectly honest. And she kind of looked at me and I said, no, I'm serious. I said, you got to take away that time. She said, well, what if we revisit it tomorrow? I said, that's fine. I said, but for today, the way I'm feeling, you want me safe? I said, you better take that away. So they all really appreciated my honesty while I was there. Again, that's another reason I guess things went the way they did, because I promised Henry and Chris I would be honest and I would cooperate. Anyways, the day after that, I was feeling much better and they did reinstate my 30 minutes. But so they said on the 10th, they said, would you like to go out on a pass for 4 hours? And I jumped at it. I'm like, yes, I absolutely would. They said, okay, well, what would you be doing? I said, I just want to go over to Henry's place and hang out with Odie and with his cats. I said, and just spend the evening with him, but at his place, able to watch our TV shows that we used to like to watch together and stuff. I said, instead of just visiting here at the hospital, I said, I that's what I want, very much so. So the doctor said, yeah, okay, as long as he's with you, you're accompanied, we can give you the 4 hours. So Henry picked me up. And I was just so happy to be out of there even for a few hours. But more important than anything was that I got to spend that time with him, because that was my plan all along, was to spend December 11th together. And he brought Odie in the car, and you may have seen that video that I posted about when I got the 4-hour pass, how crazy this dog went to see me, because he hadn't seen me in almost 2 weeks at this point. And it was the best feeling ever to get those kisses on my face and everything, and just feel his little squirming body all over me. He was so cute, and we had a great evening together. He made me supper. We watched a couple shows. I mean, it was only 4 hours, so not too long, but we just had a really nice time together. It was exactly what I wanted. And the doctor had said, have you had a chance, like she said on the morning of the 11th, she said, have you had a chance to look at any of that paperwork? And I said, no. I said, I want to see how I'm feeling tomorrow. I said, because up until this point, I said, I was never going to do anything. I was never going to hurt myself until after December 11th. I said, I want to see how I feel when I wake up the morning of the 12th, because everything's completed. I mean, I did what I wanted to do. So I want to see how I'm feeling tomorrow. And she said, okay, yep, fair enough. So we had the great evening together. Got back after my 4 hours. I was feeling really good because we had the time together. Went to sleep that night, and I woke up the next day, and I looked around, and I didn't feel the same way as I had when I had been admitted. I didn't feel like things had to end. Still wasn't feeling great. Was still struggling, of course, but it had only been less than 2 weeks, and I think by that point we had got up to my max dose for the new meds that I wanted, and we were off of the other ones. So at this point they wanted to see if I was going to have any side effects and see if this was going to help at all, right? They can't just get me up to the dose and then say, okay, see ya. So the good thing was that I was not doing too badly that day. So that was the 12th, which would have been, I think, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Had a couple good days after that, went to the different group sessions and stuff. I met some great people while I was in the hospital there. They helped me get through all this too, because not only did I have to deal with this overdose and stuff, but there was construction going on. We were only on the 3rd floor because the 6th floor was being renovated. They were doing some work there, but there was construction in other parts of the hospital. And let's just say it was not conducive to a restful environment. I have anxiety, and I mean, most people on that unit did and stuff. And the sound of those jackhammers and everything all day long was enough to drive you crazy. The worst part was how early it started in the morning. My first day there on the Friday, I was woken up at 7:30 in the morning. That's when it started. And I flew out of bed, and I saw a construction worker out there, and I said, "Do you seriously start this early every morning?" And he looked at me, he's like, "Well, sometimes earlier." I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." Like, I actually recorded it. I have a video of it because it was so loud. It was insane. A couple days later, I was woken up by the same sound, and I thought, oh my God, is it 7:30 already? It feels like I just fell asleep. And I looked at the time, and it was 3:45 in the morning. Livid. I was livid. I'm actually going to be sending an email to the hospital about, I kept a list of a bunch of different things, both negative and positive. But like, that was ridiculous to me, because they would stop the construction at like 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon. And my theory is, why don't you start it at 10 and go till 6, like when people are awake? Do not start it before the breakfast hour at 8 o'clock. This is ridiculous. And even one of the nurses told me that they're supposed to have a max amount of 15 minutes in every hour that they can make that extreme noise, like with the jackhammer and the drills and stuff. They were not following that. They were not. I had some people come to visit me, and they said, "How long does this go on? Because we've been here 5 minutes and we're going out of our minds." And I said, "Yeah, this is all day long. It starts early in the morning." So I understand construction has to happen, but there are different ways of doing it. So I was dealing with all of that. It is a psych unit, so it is not a quiet unit. There are people who are upset. There are people who are in distress. There are people who are in a crisis, serious crisis. Things are happening. So there's a lot of yelling and crying and stuff too. And you lie there and you listen to all of it, and as frustrating as it is to be trying to sleep and stuff, you feel for everybody that's on there, because everyone's going through something different, for like everything from slight anxiety to bipolar schizophrenia. There's everything going on in that unit. So, you can't even be upset with the patients because they're dealing with stuff too. But it's not an easy place to get rest. And when you don't sleep well to begin with, it doesn't help. So I went through the next couple days dealing with it. The weekends I looked forward to the most while I was there, because there was no construction on the weekends. and there were no group sessions. There was no doctors coming around. So it was a lot more peaceful. There was a lot more time to just rest and relax on the weekends. Well, so that weekend was Saturday the 15th, December 15th. And I was doing good that morning when I woke up until I was on my phone and I realized what the date was. And I realized that was the date that I had planned to go through with my plan. My original plan, not to get into too much detail about it, but I had an original date, and then I had actually changed it a couple times based on certain things that had happened or were coming up. So that was my original date all along. So it hit me like a ton of bricks when I realized the date, because I'm thinking, well, this was the day it was supposed to happen, and I knew what time it was supposed to happen. And so as the day went on, I still can't even really describe to you what I was feeling that day. It felt like I was just walking around in a fog, like I was numb. It was a really strange feeling. And I was trying to just get through the day, and I talked to the nurses about it and everything all day, like when they were asking me how you doing, and I told them why I was upset, because I had been doing good, so they knew I was upset. And I told them why and everything, and I said, you know what, I need to get through today. I need to get through tonight, and when I wake up tomorrow, I want to see how I feel. I want to see if I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to go through with my plan, or I want to see that I'm relieved that I wasn't able to go through with my plan. I said, I honestly have no idea how I'm going to feel tomorrow. I just need to get through today. And they understood and they respected that, and they said, okay, sounds good. So we'll just keep chatting about it. So that Saturday kept going, and that evening I decided to watch a movie on Netflix, and I wanted to pick something that I'd seen a bunch of times before, so I didn't really have to concentrate on it, and I could just kind of drift away. So I picked the movie 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, where she's in rehab, because I've seen it so many times, and I like that movie. Now, spoiler alert, if you have not seen it, maybe turn the video off right now or something, or I'm not really ruining any endings or anything, but I'm going to tell you a part in it. In the movie, her roommate overdosed on heroin, and she died in the rehab center there. And again, I've seen this movie a bunch of times, but the scene where they were bringing her out on the stretcher, all covered up, it hit me so hard at that moment right then, because it was that exact moment that I realized that if I'd gone through with my plan, that's what would be happening at my place now, or not right then, but at the time I had planned. And then I imagined then Henrik getting the phone call and everybody else finding out. And it wasn't until that exact moment, watching that video, that it really hit me about what impact this would have had, what I would have done. Sorry. So I cried quite a bit. Finished the movie. I still felt just insanely numb. And I just kept thinking about, okay, so at this point I wouldn't be here. What would be happening now? I just kept thinking about everything. And then the time came when it was time for my sleeping pills and stuff. So I took them, and I fell asleep pretty quickly that night. And I woke up the next morning and I looked around, and I was not disappointed that I wasn't able to go through with my plans. I was relieved that I hadn't been able to. So that was the 16th. And I felt so much better. And even though December 15th was the original date, and I still had other dates, future dates planned, basically before the end of the year was the official date. I'm not going to talk about the real dates, but the 15th was the only date that actually mattered to me at that point, because that was my original date. So even though I had picked other dates afterwards, I wasn't worried about those dates, because when I woke up on the 16th, the way I felt, feeling so much better, feeling so much more hope, I wasn't worried about those dates after that. And I'm missing a whole part here. Sorry. After the 11th, I thought, okay, well, the doctor's going to come in and talk to me tomorrow about this CBT workbook that she had given me and stuff, because I told her I would read it after the 11th. So I knew she was going to talk to me about it on the 12th. So I thought, you know what, I better sit down and read through this. So I started reading it, and I did the first exercise in it because it was an easy one. And then there was more exercises, and it said, don't get overwhelmed, don't do too much. So I thought, okay, I won't do the other exercises, but I'll just read through the whole booklet. So I read through the whole booklet, and it was like light bulbs going off in my head. It was at that point I thought, if anything is going to help me in the future, it's going to be CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, because it made so much sense to me. It just resonated with me so strongly, and I knew that it was going to be work, because it's retraining your brain to think a different way than you've thought your whole entire life, basically, or my whole entire life, the way I've thought. And I knew it was going to be work. And when I had mentioned CBT to another friend of mine, they got very excited and said that CBT is great, that they love it and how helpful it is and stuff. And so when I heard that gave me a little bit of hope too, that, okay, good, this isn't just a doctor telling me this is a friend of mine that says how good it is. So I did the workbook and stuff. So this was the 12th. Then I went and I told the doctor, and I talked to her about this, and I said how I think this might actually help. This might be what I need. And she said, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. So she said, do you want me to give you some more information on it? And I said, yes, please. So then that was through the 12th, 13th, 14th, and I read through all of that and was feeling a lot more hopeful. That's why then the 15th hit, and it was the really rough day. But then the 16th, I woke up feeling relieved that I hadn't been able to go through with it. And I had some hope again. Some hope that maybe there is a chance I can fix things. I can, break this cycle of depression. I mean, I know you never actually break it and stuff, but I can learn how to deal with it, and I can work on it. So that was the 16th. That was Sunday. So then on the Monday, no, I think it would have been Friday, the doctors said, Friday 14th, the doctors said, because I was doing so well, they said, we know you would really like to be out of here for Christmas if possible. They said, if you keep doing this well over the next little while, we could realistically see you going home by, next Thursday. And I said, great. Like, I was so excited to have a plan, a date, finally a freedom date. And they said, as long as things keep going the same way. So that even on the Saturday when I got really upset and whatnot, about the my plan that I had to end my life that day, I was stressed out and sad, but I also didn't want to show them too much because I had been doing so good, and I thought, oh my God, they're going to keep me here longer if they think I'm upset. That's why I kept telling them, I'm upset today, but let me just see how I am tomorrow, because hopefully I'll be okay. And I was. So on the Monday then, when the doctors made the rounds and came around and we talked about everything, and I told them how the weekend went, how bad Saturday was, but how much better I felt Sunday and hopeful. And I started talking to them about the programs of the Y that I want to take and the gym membership I'll get from it. They were very pleased to hear all of this, and they said, okay, you know what, we can potentially let you go home on Wednesday. And I said that would be great. And then they started talking about it some more, and they said, you know what, actually, if you're doing this well, we don't see why you couldn't leave tomorrow, Tuesday, the 18th. And was it Tuesday, 15, 16? Yeah, 18th, Tuesday. So then I was thrilled. I was super ecstatic. And my plan all along was to go to Henry's for Christmas, to spend a few days there, not alone in my apartment, and with him and his landlord. I love his landlord. So we were going to spend Christmas together anyways. So I said, Henry's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to leave the hospital, go home for a few days, and then come over? And I said, if it's okay with you guys, I'd actually like to come to your place right from the hospital, if that's all right. And they both said, yes, of course. I thought, rather than leave the hospital where I've had all this support for 3 weeks, and be around people and everything, to come back to my empty apartment, to be around nobody, I thought that would have been way too much of a step down to do. So I thought if I went to their place, at least I knew it was only for a little while, and I'd be with them and with the animals and stuff, and then we didn't have Christmas together and have a really nice time, and I'd go home after that. So that is what happened. I went to their place, and I had a really nice visit there. great. I had about 10 days I was there till the 28th or till the 27th. I stayed through Christmas and Boxing Day, and we had a great Christmas, very quiet, very uneventful. I got spoiled rotten by them, and it was just a really, really nice time. Went for Christmas dinner at my friend Krista's and Jeff's, my friends Krista and Jeff's place. We had a really nice evening. We had a good Christmas. I went home on the 27th or 28th. It was so nice to get back home to my place. I mean, Henry would come and pick stuff up for me. I gave him a list of stuff every now and then that I needed from here. And he would say, yeah, Stacey, I can understand how you'd be depressed in your place. It's really like dark and lonely and stuff. And I said, actually, no, Henry, I love my apartment. I said, I really do. I said, the problem is, yes, it's dark. I said, I'm in a basement suite. There's not a lot of sunlight that comes through or daylight. My lamps aren't strong enough. I said, so that's something I'm going to have to work on when I get out, is getting more light into this apartment. Actually, just before I ended up getting admitted in the hospital, about a week or so before, I had got a... well, hang on, I can show you here. This is a light therapy lamp. So it's for seasonal affective disorder, and my counselor had thought that might be part of what was going on too, because of our horrible fall. And I'm not good with fall anyways. I can't stand fall. So I was trying this light therapy. So I've got this as another light source. So I said, no, my apartment is great. I love my apartment. It's my place. It's cozy. I really love it. I said, and you're just there when nobody's there and all the lights are off and stuff. So when I got home on the 27th, I loved it. Oh, sorry, I did catch one comment. How did you find it? The light therapy lamp, you go to the Mood Disorder Associations of Manitoba. They have a rent-to-own program. It's $20 a month. You can return it at any time if you want, if you're not finding it's working. But after 10 months, because it's $200, it's yours to keep. So you either pay $20 a month, no interest and stuff, and then keep it after 10 months, or if it's not working, you can give it back. And a $40 deposit that you put down that you get back afterwards as well. So it's a very good deal to do that. And so I got home on the 27th, and I was so happy to be home. Like, my place. I love my place. I love my bed. It was my bed. I mean, the hospital bed sucks. I had my bed. I stayed here for a couple days, and then it was New Year's Eve. The plan was to spend with Henry and Marilyn for New Year's Eve as well. I was only going to go for the one night for New Year's Eve, and then I was going to come home the next day on the 1st. And, well, his landlord is a really good cook. And when she offered to make steak and shrimp one night and then something else the next night, well, I ended up staying like an extra 3 nights because it was just too good. The food was too good there, and I knew I wasn't going to get that at home. Not that good. And not cooked for me. So I stayed for a couple days. But by the 4th, I said, okay, no, I have to go home. I need to try to start getting back to my real life. So I went home on the 4th, and I still was treating it like a little personal vacation. I figured my birthday's on the 7th, so I will enjoy these couple days at home. I will do nothing but sleep because at Henry's place, they have 4 cats and a dog, and one of the cats is a kitten. So I'm not used to being around kittens, and I gotta be honest, I don't have much patience for kittens. I love him; he's adorable, but he was a little stressful for me, I guess, with my anxiety. But then, Odie barks at everything too and stuff. And it was just, it was great being there, but it wasn't like my place. Like my apartment, if you listen, see, you hear nothing? That's the way it is all the time. My building is so quiet. It's fantastic. So I needed to get back here and I needed to sleep for a few days. And that's what I did. I slept from the 4th until the 7th. I slept and slept and slept and slept, and not a depressive sleep, not the I don't want to get out of bed, the I need to sleep. So it was good. And my plan was on January 8th is when my real life would actually begin again. Vacation was over, time to get back to work, Sensi-wise, get back to life as it is, and start these programs and everything. And that is going to be the topic of video number 3. Again, this one lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, but again, I just think it's so important to talk to everybody about all of this. So the hospital had its ups and downs. The downs, there was a lot of things that I do believe could be changed and fixed. And that's what my email to patient relations is going to be about. Not just complaining, but I have suggestions as well. And I kept a list of all the good things. There were some nurses there that were just so phenomenal. There were some healthcare aides that went above and beyond. And I think the hospital needs to know about all of them as well. So the hospital was good because it got me to where I needed. We learned about different programs in the city and things that I would not have known about. And that's another reason why I'm coming on here, is to tell about these different programs. And I encourage people watching to put in the comments and stuff if you know of different mental health programs or courses or resources and stuff in this city, in Winnipeg, or in your own city, wherever you are, because people really, they need to know about this. I had no idea about these programs, about the Y. I knew the Y existed, of course, right? And I know there's a gym there, and I knew there was some sort of subsidy for lower income and stuff, if that was an issue or whatnot, and what's going on, like budget-wise and stuff. But I had no idea that they have these courses. And not only are these courses going to be helpful, but then I get the free Y membership. You have to complete 8 out of 10 of the classes to get the membership. And then they said they build up, the memberships build up, because they said some people have 2, 3, 4 years worth of free membership built up because they just keep taking more courses. So by the middle of March, I'll have a year and a half of free membership banked. And that's fantastic to me. Like, I'm so excited about that. It's not even funny. So I would not have known about this resource if it weren't for the hospital. They were aggressive with my medication change, too aggressive as it turned out with the overdose, but they did get me on the right track, and the meds, I truly believe, are helping as well. But okay, I'm going to talk about all that in the next video. So that'll be my third one. So again, thank you for any of you that watched this all the way through. Thank you if you're going to watch it from the beginning and watch it all the way through. And please share this with people, because they need to know the resources that are out there. And I don't want people scared off by the thought of going to the hospital, even though it was a horrible experience being admitted against your will involuntarily and not being able to leave somewhere. It was absolutely vital. I would not be here today if that hadn't been done. So it's important. That's why I'm sharing this, and that's why I'm going to make this video public, so that you can pass it on and share it too. I really hope that you will. And what time is it? Yeah, we're doing okay. I'm going to do my third and final video, and I hope that you will watch those ones as well. Okay? Thank you guys. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being there.